5 seconds. And over the mic, dissolve, fueling, go.
Did you know the press is the only industry specifically mentioned in the Constitution?
Stand by.
That's because a free and open press is critical to our democracy.
Track alpha. Roll alpha.
In fact, the single biggest threat facing our nation today is the corporate takeover of our government and our press.
Stand by, camera 1.
We've been hijacked by a handful of powerful transnational corporations that will profit by destroying what our founding fathers once built up. I'm Tom Hartman, and on this show, we reveal the big picture of what's actually going on in the world. We go beyond identifying the problem.
We try to fix it.
Rational debate and a real discussion of the critical issues facing America.
Stand by on camera, go.
Ready to join the movement? Then welcome to the big picture.
This is RT International. Welcome back. The Syrian army has driven Islamic State jihadists out of important strategic territories in the northwest of the country. Government troops are engaged in fierce fighting with jihadists there to free villages still under the control of the Islamists. Just days earlier, the Syrian army gained another breakthrough against Islamic State, managing to pierce a blockade at a key airbase outside the city of Aleppo. The site had been under siege by Islamists for years. RT's Lizzie Phelan managed to gain access to the airbase just days after it was completely retaken.
We're finally on the road to Aleppo, on the stretch of road from Keganasan to Aleppo that just over a week ago it wasn't possible to drive on this road because it had come under the control of ISIL forces. So the sun's going down and we're hoping to arrive in no longer than an hour. So the army is very reluctant. Actually, they're not going to let us go to the airbase tonight because it's getting very dark and the road's still not 100% safe. They say that when it gets dark, ISIL fighters target moving lights. So obviously the cars are full of lights with mortars and domestically produced rockets. So we're going to have to skip going to the base tonight, unfortunately, and head there first thing in the morning. Good morning. So we're finally on the road to Queris Air Base. We're hoping to arrive in about half an hour. It's a pretty difficult road, as you can see, so we can understand now why the army didn't want us to travel last night in the dark along this road. The destruction of the villages on the road to Queris is extremely fresh, as you can see. Up until a few days ago, all of these villages were under the control of the Islamic State, and the army had to retake them one by one in order to finally break the siege of Queris Air Base. When the Islamic State took over vast parts of north and eastern Syria last year, they overran most of the Syrian army's military installations. The last one that they tried to attack was here, the Queris military air base in the eastern Aleppo countryside, but they didn't manage to succeed. The soldiers here, despite being under relentless attack for the last 3 years, we can see everywhere that we step bits of shrapnel and bullets from the relentless attacks that they've been facing. They managed to withstand those attacks, and in the last few days this airbase has been liberated. The siege was broken.
It was vital for us to protect the airbase and destroy the terrorists who were recruited from all over the world to fight in our land. They didn't have the guts to fight us face to face. Instead, they planted car bombs or sent in suicide bombers to intimidate us.
Now, it's impossible to understate the conditions which they were living. On top of being under relentless attack, the army was unable to drop them supplies because their helicopters were being shut down by Islamic State fighters. So the soldiers here tell us that they've been living off wheat that they managed to grow on this land, that they had the facilities to make bread out of, and some fruit and vegetables that they were also able to grow. Some weeks they were only able to eat every couple of days.
When the war began, my son, who came to liberate me, was only 16 years old. We would talk on the phone and he would promise that he'd come for me. He wasn't even in the army then, just a high schooler. And now he's 20 and he came and saved me.
These are the graves where some of the soldiers who were killed during the last 3 years have been laid to rest. Many of them were killed in August this year when around 1,000 Islamic State fighters launched a fierce offensive on this base, attacking with heavy artillery. Many of the others were killed by mines laid by the Islamic State and mortars.
Syrian troops have also prevented the Islamists from taking control of a strategic highway between the city of Homs and the capital, Damascus, a vital supply route for the army. We spoke to a resident who fled the fighting as government forces took on the jihadists.
Our village was under fire from militants until Saturday. Civilians left the village for approximately a week. We had to close the school, and most of the civilians fled to nearby cities, such as Homs, Fallujah and Damascus. We left the school at the start of last week. The situation improved after the army moved in and took control back of some important hotspots.
To another story we're following this hour, a video of police violently beating a suspect in San Francisco has emerged online. A warning, the clip contains graphic scenes. The Public Defender's Office already labelled the video shocking and brutal. The man beaten in the clip was chased down by authorities for alleged vehicle theft. The 13-minute-long clip was compiled from a time-lapse surveillance camera, meaning the incident may have continued for even longer. An internal investigation has been launched into the incident. We spoke to several experts who believe repeated similar cases across the US show the government is not willing to really address the issue of police abuse.
What is triggering the violence on the part of these the police forces across the country in the U.S. is a general atmosphere of impunity. Right now we have police forces that are almost out of control. We need to change the culture so that the police understand that they're not going to be allowed to violate the rights of individuals and get away with this.
The police have been given a free hand to beat people, to shoot people, to mistreat people on a daily basis. No one is standing up to them. And the only thing that can get in their way, the only force that's really standing up to them is a mass mobilization of people, of protests. A grassroots political movement is the only thing challenging them. No one within the power structure will stand up to the power of police.
Well, despite the protests that swept through the U.S. against the heavy-handed police approach, cases of abuse by officers have continued.
You have absolutely no clothes on? No!
I don't f***ing shower! What is wrong with you?
I'm choking on my blood! Look at it! I can't breathe.
Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right. I'm calling my lawyer.
I'm going to yank you out of here.
Okay, you're going to yank me out of my car? Touch me.
Hands behind your back. Give me your hands. Give me your hands.
Well, join me again in just over half an hour's time for more of the day's news. But next on RT International, a report on fashion-conscious men in the Congo who dress in stark contrast with the environment they live in.